Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have a special guest. He's the author of the book People, Reach Your Full Potential as a Chief HR Officer. No other than Mr. Tom Emery. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Tom, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Of course I can, yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Daniel. My name is Tom Emery. I am an author, a keynote speaker, and a people performance consultant. And my background is as an HR professional before I set out on my own to do broader leadership development and consultancy to businesses on how to make the most about their people. And I particularly specialize in supporting HR people and particular senior HR leaders. And that is why I've wrote a book about how to be a really great chief people officer.
Mr. Tom Emery, thank you so much for sharing your book to the world. So, what are the key responsibilities of a chief HR officer?
So the people function, the HR function, is there essentially to make the most of the people that an organization has. It's a well-worn cliche that every organization's biggest asset and biggest cost are their people. So it's really important to get your approach to people right. And that's really what the chief HR officer and the HR team is there to do. So, in terms of some of the key responsibilities, there are all the things that you would expect from from an organization in terms of the employee life cycle, if you like. So, how you recruit people, how you onboard people, how you induct people and make sure that they have what they need to be successful, how you manage their performance, drive their performance, motivate and engage them, how you hopefully retain them and stop them leaving. But then when it is time for them to leave, how you exit them, how you support their offboarding, if you like, and how you keep them, I suppose, engaged in your company brand so that they become good leavers and they say good things about the organization after they've left. But I suppose the HR team and the HR leader has a broader thing to do in terms of just how the organization is structured, how it uses its skills, how it's builds its capability. And my thing about being a chief HR officer is its position on the executive, on the leadership team, and how it really is the glue that keeps that executive team working, supports the CEO, supports the board to be as effective as it possibly can be.
So, Mr. Tom, how does a chief HR officer contribute to an organization's overall success?
So, if you think about what I've just said from thinking about the people as the organization's greatest asset, it has to get the people working in the right way. So, yeah, a big part of of the role is taking the business strategy. So, understanding what the business objectives are, where the business wants to get to, where it needs to make money, where it needs to save costs, where it needs to provide a service to its customers, to its clients, and then aligning everything that you do around the people behind those commercial aims. So that might be making sure that you're fishing for people in the right places. It might mean that you have a comp and bends package that is absolutely what the organization needs. Might mean that you need to skill leaders to have the right skills to lead the organization. It really is it really has a role in all parts of the business because generally there are people involved in every part of every organization and its operations and its strategy.
So, Mr. Tom, what the qualities define an effective chief HR officer?
Well, in the book, People, this is although it's a business book, it's actually a work of fiction. So it tells the story of a chief HR officer who is struggling, and she goes to see a coach to get some help on how she can be more effective, and she works through a model which I've developed called the CHRO Impact Framework. And in terms of the qualities, therefore, that the model looks at in terms of making successful chief HR officers, it looks at four skills. Those skills are being a commercial explorer, so that is really understanding the business. It's about being an expert in the field, so really understanding the craft of HR and all its elements, and how you can really drive great performance out of that. It's being a leader of HR, so building a great HR team that has all the skills and capabilities that it needs. And then finally, being a culture and performance catalyst, and that is all about having things like the right leadership development and being able to drive a great, inclusive, psychologically safe culture that the organization can benefit from. And then it has 4 personas. The first persona is an enterprise leader, and that is not just thinking about the people agenda; it's about thinking about the whole business, and really understanding the business and understanding how you can lead right across it. It's about being a trusted partner, so trusted partner to the board, the CEO. Trust is really important in the role to be effective. And then there's 2 other personas, which are business talent enabler and HR talent enabler. And those are about making sure that your HR team and your business have the best people in the marketplace, attracting and retaining them. And then at the core, there's a core mindset, which is being purposeful and always learning. So intentionality and being purposeful is really important in any leadership role, but I think it's particularly important in the chief HR officer role.
Very well said, Mr. Tom. Very well said. So, how does the book describe the evolving role of HR in a modern business?
So, as I said, it follows the story of a chief HR officer who goes to a coach and works through that model. So, this chief HR officer is called Joanna. She is has a very supportive CEO. She works in a financial services company, but I would say she feels like the ultimate plate spinner. She's spinning a lot of different people's priorities. And she's finding it difficult to create the boundaries between what she needs to do and what the organization wants her to do. And she's got a bit of what we would call learned helplessness. So she has an idea of what the role should be. The role isn't that, but she doesn't know how to change it. She's helpless. And so the whole point of the book is that she goes and she works through this and she learns some new behaviors and she pushes into perhaps some of the discomfort that comes from trying new things and not actually being everything to everybody, and being quite clear on what her purpose is and where her boundaries are. So she makes some changes and she tries new things, and she works through the model with the coach, and she starts to see some success. And I suppose this mirrors the way that I work with clients in real life, and how I work with them to try new things and encourage new behaviors, and to make change. And I often see a real quick improvement and a big impact when I'm working with clients using this model, and in making them more effective.
Certainly. So let's talk about leadership and strategy, Mr.
Mm.
Tom. How can a chief HR officer develop strong leadership skills?
Well, I mean, leadership is something that we often think of as innate. We think of like natural leaders. I think that leadership is something that is not necessarily something that you have to be naturally good at. I think you can learn leadership. So, in terms of how I think chief HR officers can develop their leadership skills, I think it's the same as how anybody can develop their leadership skills, and that is by going out and finding out information that's out there. And there's a lot of stuff available about leadership. There are loads of leadership books that you can read. If you don't like reading books, there are loads of leadership podcasts that you can go and listen to. There are loads of people that are saying some really interesting and great things about leadership on YouTube and other platforms like that. So my advice would be get out there and find out what's out there and lean into a bit of learning. The other thing I think is, as I said about when Joanna in the book is working through the model, she's got to try new things, and she's got to try new things that might feel quite uncomfortable. And leadership is all about personal development. It's about change. So if you want to develop your leadership skills, you're going to have to try new things, and you're going to have to go through that discomfort. You're going to have to push yourself to do things that you've never done before. You're going to have to push yourself to do things that perhaps you don't want to do. And yeah, that's where the magic lies, right? It's trying things, it's working out what works for you, and seeing what doesn't. The final thing I would say for anybody developing their leadership skills is to think about what sort of leader you want to be, and think about how you want people to experience your leadership, how you want to make people feel. There's a great Maya Angelou quote that says, "People will forget what you did, forget what you said, but they'll never forget the way that you made them feel." And there's lots of research out there that says that your line manager, your people manager at work, has as much impact on your personal health and well-being as your spouse, your domestic partner, whatever. So leaders have got a big responsibility, and if they want to develop, they've got to do it on purpose and intentionally.
Certainly. So, what strategies can HR leader use to create a high-performing workplace culture?
So, in the book, when we talk about the performance and culture catalyst, I think this really is about where you can make your organization perform at a really high level. Um, it's making sure that, as I said right at the beginning of this episode, is thinking about, well, are the things that you're doing with your people and the way that you're recruiting your people, the way you're developing your people, the way that you measure your people's performance, the way that you pay people and reward them for what they contribute to your organization, is that aligned to the goals of your business? So if you want to be an entrepreneurial, high growth business, are those the skills that you're rewarding? Because if they're not, you're probably not going to develop the right sort of business that you want. Have you got all those things in place to develop the capability of your workforce? Have you got the right learning and development in place? Have you got coaching in place? Have you got mentoring in place? Have you got a culture where people want to come in and learn, and they're really encouraged to learn? Are your leaders really role modeling some of the great behaviors that you want to have in your organization to make it high performing? Because whatever the top leadership does is carte blanche for people below that, everybody else to do that as well. So I often think about encouraging leaders to think about their shadow, and think about the shadow that they cast across the organization to, which can be really damaging if it's bad. It can be brilliant if it's good. So I mean, every aspect of the business has a people element. So there's probably lots and lots that I could go into. They're probably the main things that I would call out.
Yes, indeed. So, Mr. Tom, let's talk about talent management and development. What
Mm.
are the best practices for talent acquisition and retention?
Well, so I mean, talent acquisition is quite an interesting one because if I think about some of the businesses that I work for, that I go into and I work with, I see some pretty poor talent acquisition processes. To be honest, talent acquisition and let's call it recruitment is a core part of any leader's role, but I don't think they want to put the time and the energy into it because it's a bit of a pain and it's not what you go into your job to do. So I think taking time when you're assessing people, really understanding, what actually the skills are that you want, what do you need, and not only now but into the future, and how do you build a really great assessment process that's going to be robust in bringing out people's capabilities against the skills and behaviors that you require. Just sitting down with someone with their CV for half an hour and asking them where they've worked and what they've done, there's a value in that, but it's only one small part of it. There needs to be much more robust testing of people's skills and behaviors and attitudes. We want to think about diversity as well. We want to think about making sure we've got lots of diversity in our teams, not just from like an identity diversity basis, and not just from ethnicity or gender or sexuality or whatever it is. We need to be getting different thinking styles and thinking about, how do we make sure that an assessment process doesn't knock out certain groups of people because it's badly designed. And then in terms of like retaining people, we need to make sure people are doing meaningful work. We need to know what energizes people, what frustrates them, so that we can design their jobs effectively. We need to make work easy to do. So what can we automate and what can we make easy? How can we simplify things for people so that they can do the things that they get energy from and aren't just stuck in endless processes that don't work very well. We need to pay people properly. Pay is a hygiene factor, but you pay people badly. That's a basic need that people have. We need to incentivize people properly. Um, and we need to stretch them, give them careers, give them a path forward so they can achieve their aspirations. And yeah, we need to keep work interesting. We need to make it fun. We need to make the culture safe, enjoyable, and we need to look after people and look after their well-being.
Certainly. So, Mr. Tom, what would be your advice for those people out there who want to be a chief HR officer?
So, if you want to be a chief HR officer, you're probably already working in an HR role. So, obviously, I would say go and buy my book when it comes out and read about how to reach your full potential as a chief HR officer. It's a complement. Hopefully, it's a comprehensive guide to the things that you need to be focusing on. Um, but you need to think about the broadest range of, building the broadest range of skills. HR is an interesting career because often you can go up a very generalist route where you are aware of lots of different parts of HR, but you're not really necessarily a specialist in one. There's a value in that. And then also you might be a specialist and you might specialize in talent or learning or reward. There's value in that because you get really deep knowledge, but it might mean that you don't have all the varied skills that you need. So we're not having to be experts on everything in HR, but we've got to have a really good, strong idea about it. So I would be really trying to understand, well, what does a chief HR officer do? Where do they really need to have great skills? What are those skills? And yeah, and then go out and get them. So try and get experience of doing stuff. If you're in an HR role and you want to do a talent project, go and you want some talent skills. Try and find a talent project. Find a mentor that of somebody that is doing the job that you can ask for some help of. Go and do see what learning and development you can get, and go and see if you can get on an HR leaders program. Yeah, or just go and have a look at some of the massive amounts of support that's available online about what HR is all about and how you can build your skills, because it's all there for the taking.
Certainly. So, Mr. Tom, what would be your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
For me, so this is my first book that I've just written, People People. I thought it was a really enjoyable process. I'm interested to see how successful it is and to see how people enjoy it. I really hope they do. I put a lot of work into it. The next book that I'm writing is a collaboration with a colleague of mine, Tom Mason, and we're writing a book about leadership called Beyond Potential. So I hope that we will get that published at some point in the next 12 to 18 months. I feel like there's a few books in me around business, leadership, and I suppose like personal effectiveness. I'm quite interested in that. So definitely have aspirations. I also have a business to run. So I want to make sure that I run a successful business and get to help as many people as I can with their development and to reach their full potential.
Good luck to your goals,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Tom, and looking forward for more empowering books like this. So to wrap up or to sum up our discussion for today, how can HR leaders leverage data and analytics to make informed decisions?
Yeah, not always an easy one. Look, you've got a lot of people data in your organization, and it's not necessarily a natural strength of a lot of HR people. I don't think they go into it they don't go into the role necessarily to get into data. I think you can get stuck in data. I think you should look at picking out what are your key metrics, what are your real key measures that you want to use. I think presenting HR data packs every month without really pulling any true insights out of it is a bit of a waste of time. And I think there's a lot of organizations that have a bit of an industry in providing people data, but not really doing anything with it. So I'd look at it carefully. I'd be really, it's a bit boring, I think, probably to talk about AI at the moment. Everybody is talking about AI, but like it's amazing the things that you can do. So I'd be really looking at what AI you can use to make sense of your data and really leverage that to make your life easier and then think about where you can really add value from a human perspective, because human connection is really important. Humans are not going to become redundant, I don't think, but we're going to have to change the way we approach things.
Mr. Tom Emery, thank you so much for sharing people to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your upcoming book, People?
Yeah, so I'd love it if people would go onto Amazon and have a look at it. So it's available on Amazon. It's available on Waterstones, on Practical Inspiration. You can also contact me via my website, which is www.hex-development.com. And if it's not available in your country, I will gladly send you a copy through the post. So just get in touch. Really happy to hear from you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Tom Emery because if you support him, more empowering books like this to come. So,
Brilliant.
Mr. Tom, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Good to see you.
Good to see you likewise. More to come, people. See you soon.